When it comes to football, I know it's the most popular sport in the world, but I'm struggling to find anything I care about less. I've never been into the game. However, if you're watching this in the US of A or Australia, the sport I'm referring to is what you call soccer. And as a Brit, I find it a bit bizarre that the rest of the world calls it football. But there are two sports which in the UK are referred to as American football and Australian rules football. And in both of those sports, the ball, the football, is picked up by hand and carried. Whereas in what you call soccer, the ball is propelled by kicking it with a foot. However, we now live in a time where there are many ill-informed people with too much time on their hands and a determination to be offended by fucking everything. So there's now a campaign demanding that two of England's biggest football clubs, Manchester United and Manchester City, change their logos, or badges as it were, because it's being claimed that those badges glorify the slave trade. They don't. The emblems of both clubs feature a three-masted sailing ship, the same sailing ship that's on the coat of arms for the city of Manchester. So the woke people running this campaign are claiming that is a slave ship. But because they're woke, they haven't done any fucking research. They just pick something to be offended by, then proceed to cry about it. Whereas I have now read several articles on this issue, so I'm better informed than people running the campaign. Although I guess now reading is seen as elitist and a form of white supremacy. Now, it's true that Manchester made a lot of its wealth historically from the cotton trade, and a lot of that cotton was imported from the USA, where slavery was still legal. It's also worth mentioning that whilst the American Civil War was raging in, I think, 1861, dockers and general labourers at Manchester docks refused to unload cotton from American ships. Dockers, the most common working-class downtrodden people, refused to take a material which had been made through slavery. They refused to profit from human misery. How has this campaign got it so fucking wrong? The emblems of both clubs and the city's coat of arms all bear the same image, and it's the same ship. And that ship represents fair trade, the polar opposite of slavery. But why did both clubs and the City Hall all end up with the same image? Well, that's down to timing. Emblems of ships had been seen in Manchester since 1842, decades after slavery was banned in the United Kingdom. But in 1894, the Manchester Shipping Canal was opened, an incredible feat of human engineering, a man-made waterway that would allow ships from all over the world to get into the northwest of England, a huge industrial area, and would allow the northwest of England to export its wares. Manchester City, the football club, was formed in the same year, 1894. Then in 1902, Newton Heath FC adopted the ship as part of its logo when it changed its name to Manchester United. United, a word meaning togetherness, inclusivity and unity. And it says a lot about the mindset of the woke, that they see an image of a ship and the first thing they think is, that must represent slavery. Do these fucking halfwits see a triangle and think that looks like a pyramid? Because we know they were made by slaves, but no one's telling the Egyptians to pull them down. And whilst we're on the subject, is there anything else we can find in the coat of arms or the football club logos that someone can be offended by? Because here's the coat of arms, and under the ship are three stripes. Those three stripes represent the three rivers that run into Manchester. Given that Manchester isn't on the coast, Mancunians are very fucking nautical. If we look at Man City's logo, it's got a red rose on it, and I'm sure that will upset someone. There'll be a campaign during Pride Month that rose has to be rainbow coloured. Of course, that's the Lancastrian rose, because Manchester used to be part of Lancashire, whereas now it's in the county of Greater Manchester. And if you're watching this from outside the UK and wondering why does Manchester need its own county, it's because the place is fucking enormous. And that brings us to the logo of Manchester United. Now, there are two pictures on that logo, the aforementioned ship and the devil, because Man U are known as the Red Devils. But how is the image of the ship that's got nothing to do with the slave trade the problematic part? Not the depiction of Satan, Old Nick, Lucifer, the fallen angel, he that is named Dragon. Now apparently that's fine. So there you have it. A collective of woke half-wits moronically campaigning to have two football clubs change their logo because on those logos there are ships which aren't connected to the slave trade. All that remains is for me to thank Chris Bryant, who sent me the link to the story, which I would never have found because I don't do football. If truth be known, I have actually started watching some of the women's game. And although women's football is much slower than men's football, it lacks one aspect which I despise about the men's game, and it's this. In women's football, if a female player gets a gentle tap on the shoulder, she doesn't go down like she's taken a direct hit from a fucking howitzer. As ever, thanks for watching.